business records. That sounds so bad. To me, it sounds very bad. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad when they say falsifying business. That's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense, I paid a lawyer, totally legal. I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected. She testified, marked it down in the books as a legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of that. This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening. The level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before, where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that, in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other presidents. It should never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out, was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently, but a lot of people have predicted it because the public understands and they understand what's going on. This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days. And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested. And the judge knocked him out, said, you can't testify. He actually said, you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect. This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board. It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District. They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city and they went into a federal election. They're not allowed. The people from federal election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case.
I want to welcome everybody to a
Cy Vance
special
dropped the case.
morning
And when
coffee
Bragg came in,
afternoon
he said,
edition
"This is
as
the
we
most ridiculous case I've
are
ever
tuning
seen."
in to President
And who would
Trump's
have a certain
live
person, again, gag order,
news
who would have a
conference,
certain person like
the
this
verdict
ever
aftermath.
testify? He said, "This is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen, ever, to testify." He said, "The craziest case I've ever seen." This is Bragg. Then when they announced I was running for president, long time later, they decided to revive this case. And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also brought. It destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way, destroyed the life of a very good man who went to prison once. And then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this. Over the education of his grandchildren. Over, he didn't report that he had a car or two cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, "Oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars." How do you even figure it? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man, but they put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. They put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, "Gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man," because they just don't say that about me, but maybe I'm better off that way. I think I'm probably better off that way. But they put him in jail twice. And you have to see what they put him in jail. And he was threatened by the judge. This man was told, "You're going to get 15 years in jail if you don't give up Trump." And he was told that. "You're going to get 15 years in jail." And he made a plea deal because he didn't want to spend the rest of his life. And he was told that viciously. We're living in a fascist state. He was told that viciously. So you can go to jail for 4 months, 5 months, or you can get 15 years in jail. So do a plea. Almost who wouldn't do that plea? Everyone does those pleas. It's a horrible thing. There's a whole group of lawyers that fight that. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. But they destroyed his life. So many other things. You look at Southern District didn't want to bring the case. Nobody wanted to bring the case. And then you know who didn't want to bring the case? Most of all is Bragg. Bragg didn't want to bring it. But then he brought it. And they tried to make it a different case. They didn't say legal expense equal legal expense. Again, if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order. But, you know, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows that. Took me a while to find out. But he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer. Now, he got into trouble not because of me. He got into trouble because he made outside deals and he had something to do with taxi cabs and medallions and he borrowed money. And that's why he went. And then he pled to three election violations. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I wonder why he did that. He pled. He took a deal. Now, he took a deal because he wanted to get off. In other words, I'll take a plea deal and I want to get off. And he wanted to make a deal with the Southern District. And they wrote,
no living being should ever eat processed food for every single meal of their life.
general, a very great inspector general, actually, wrote a report that was so bad. This one was possibly worse. The Southern District, the judge didn't let us use it. He said it's hearsay. I said it's not hearsay. Wouldn't let us use it. This is about the man. But he got in trouble for a very simple reason, because he was involved with borrowing a lot of money and he did something with the banks. I don't know if it's defrauded the banks, but something happened. You guys know what it is. And then in addition to that, he gave up on three things where he wasn't guilty. In fact, they were going to testify in that. The head of the FEC, the Brad Smith, the election expert, number one rated in the country, was going to testify. He took a plea on three things. He just added them in because that gave him more bargaining power with respect to me. But the three things that he pled on, having to do with the election and having to do essentially a little bit with me, they weren't crimes. They weren't crimes. Nor is paying money under an NDA. So we have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's a big deal, a non-disclosure agreement. Totally honorable, totally good, totally accepted. Everybody has them. Every company has non-disclosure agreements. But the press called it slush fund and all sorts of other things. Hush money, hush money. It's not hush money. It's called a non-disclosure agreement. And most of the people in this room have a non-disclosure agreement.
Hey, great afternoon, people, Patriots, whoever you consider yourself to be. Thank you for tuning in to today's morning coffee. We will get to the regularly scheduled broadcast after Donald Trump finishes his live interview. Like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so you can get those instant notifications. We're going to get down to it after he finishes speaking.
With their company. It's a disgrace. So it's not hush money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is he signed a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment. You don't have to make it. You can make it any way you want. It's a non-disclosure agreement. And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody. And all of a sudden, they brought it back. It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer, he wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him a fixer, or the prosecutors called him a fixer. He was a lawyer, and he was fairly good. Later on, I didn't like what he did. I didn't like, for instance, I didn't like that when I became president, he went around and made deals with companies. When I heard that, he was gone. He was gone. And he had payments coming to him. And a lot of this involved things that are very simple. There was nothing wrong. This was standard stuff, all standard stuff. Everything involved was standard. There was no crime here. In fact, I just watched a couple of the reports. You watched Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Greg Jarrett. You look at all of these people, Mark Levin, all very talented people, great people, many more, many more. And they don't know me, essentially. They don't know me. They're legal scholars and experts. But I look at them. I watched Turley this morning saying, there's no crime here. Everybody says there's no crime here, except for this DA that's got the city out of control with crime. It's absolutely out of control. So we have an NDA that was signed. We have legal expenses. And here's the thing on legal expenses. You have 100 where they say they do a charge. I just recorded this out. Falsification of business records in the first degree. It sounds so bad. I said, wow. And even my own lawyers, I get very upset with them because they don't say what it is. They say, well, falsification of legal records is only a felony. Well, that's a lot. Is only they say, a misdemeanor. But they try and bring it up to a felony if there's two crimes. They have all these different things. The other thing is they missed the statute of limitations by a lot because this was very old. They could have brought this 7 years ago instead of bringing it right in the middle of the election. So they missed the statute of limitations. They did everything. Now, let me give you the good news. The good news is last night, we just got a report this morning. In the history of politics, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, somebody will find that I'm wrong, maybe, but I don't think so. They raised with small money donors, meaning like $21, $42, $53, $38, a record $39 million in about a 10-hour period. No, think of that. I like those people. Because so far, I guess it's backfiring. Now, I don't know. I'd rather not have it happen. I don't want to have it backfiring. I don't want to win this thing legitimately, not because they were stupid and did things that they shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't have brought this case. They were saying it this morning. This is a case that should not have been brought. I watched Andy McCarthy say this is a case that should not have been brought. And that was this morning. But they all say that. Every legal scholar has said it. And these are great people. They really understand the law. The other thing, a poll just came out. The first poll, I don't know, maybe others will be bad. But a poll just came out a little while ago. The Daily Mail. Does anybody read the Daily Mail? It's very good. They have a good poll. At least I like it today. And the Daily Mail just came out with a poll. And it has Trump up 6 points in the last 12 hours. 6 points. 6 points since this happened. Who thought this could happen? Because the people of our country know it's a hoax. They know it's a hoax. They get it. You know, they're really smart. And it's really something. So we're going to be appealing this scam. We're going to be appealing it on many different things. He wouldn't allow us to have witnesses. He wouldn't allow us to talk. He wouldn't allow us to do anything. The judge was a tyrant. And you got to see that with Bob Costello, a fine man. I've never seen anything like it. And neither has anybody that was in that courthouse where he demanded that the courthouse be cleared. Now, the good news is most of the people in the courthouse were the media. And anybody that was in the media, if you're fair, you'll say, wow, that was anger. That was crazed. He was crazed. And the reason that Bob Costello acted a little bit upset, which I think he has a right to, was that every question he was being asked was being objected to by the other side and sustained by the judge. Sustained. I think he did it many times. I don't know what the number, many times. Even I was sitting there saying, and these were basic questions. And I never saw anybody treated that way by a judge. And I've been treated very badly by two other judges also, because it's all the same thing. And it all comes out of the White House. Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country. He's the worst president in the history of our country. The most incompetent. He's the dumbest president we've ever had. He's the dumbest president, most incompetent president, and he's the most dishonest president we've ever had. And so many of he's a Manchurian candidate. You take a look at the way he treats China, Russia, so many others. You know, I ended the Russian pipeline. It was dead. He comes in and he approves it. And he gets 3.5 million, meaning 3.5 million is paid to the family, his family, from the mayor of Moscow's wife. And I said, where did that come from? Nobody wants to talk about it. But he's a very big danger to our country. And the only way they think they can win this election is by doing exactly what they're doing right now, win it in the courts because they can't win it at the ballot box. So we're going to show them that, oh, we're going to fight. It's actually, I don't know, it's something where I'm wired in such a way that a lot of people would have gone away a long time ago. They would have gone away after impeachment hoax number one. That was a total hoax. A great support from the Republican Party, though. Then you had impeachment hoax number two. And then they formed the committee. How about they formed the committee of thugs, the J6 committee of thugs.
Break it down, Don.
And they
Break it
took their
down.
records and they destroyed all of the records after the committee was abandoned because those records were great for us. Now, can you imagine if Republicans did that? Everybody would have been in jail by now.
Good morning, Wilma Guerin.
Think of it, the unselect, I call it the unselect. They call it select committee. I call it the unselect committee of thugs. They meet. It's 100% Democrat and two past Republicans that are no longer Republicans, that are no longer in business anymore. Thank you. But it was all Democrats and two wayward Republicans, Liz Cheney and crying Adam Kinzinger. He cries every time he goes on television. He's the most emotional human being I think I've ever seen. And that was our representatives. These two people were our rep. So they had all this stuff that they're leaking.
Good morning, Natalie
and then
Dye.
when it came time to look at the records, like where the police said and the Capitol Guard said that I supplied, think of it, that I recommended as many soldiers or National Guard as you want. 10,000. If you had 500, you wouldn't have had a problem. There wouldn't have been a J6. But Nancy Pelosi and the group didn't want it. Anyway, so they have testimony to all of that, that I did not attack the Secret Service agent in the front of a car. You know, these are strong people. And
we have Jen, the homeschooling mom, that's going to be joining us momentarily. Y'all make sure y'all share this out. We're going to have some fun this afternoon.
And then I went to the other guy, who I think is a black belt in karate. And he's slightly younger than me, maybe 35 years, 40 years, 50 years. And I grabbed him around the neck and said, he's a black belt in karate. They know how to get somebody from around their neck. They would have gone like this, and that would be the end of that. Actually, I had a friend that said, you shouldn't dispute that. That makes you look like the toughest cookie we've ever seen. You should have let that go on. But the fact is, it never happened. It was all made up. And that was proven to be made up. It proved to be a false story.
Like everything else.
They deleted and destroyed all of that information.
Yes, they did.
Every ounce of it. We're dealing with a corrupt government.
Yes, we are.
Corrupt country. Our
yes,
elections
we are
corrupt. Our borders are open.
Yes, they
Our
are.
borders are going to be closed very soon.
Yes, they will be.
November 5th is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. Now, when I say that, because my people are always saying, do this, because we're fighting for America, DonaldJTrump.com. I hope everybody watching right now, DonaldJTrump.com, because it really makes a difference.
Y'all go ahead and share this out. Let's have a great Friday afternoon.
I don't know where they get it. Nobody knows where they get it. But for some reason, they get money. But they're not on the side of our country. In many ways, I think they hate our country. Who on earth can want open borders where people are allowed to pour in from countries unknown, from places unknown, from languages that we haven't even heard of? We have people sitting in schools with languages where very few people have ever even heard of these languages.
And you got people in schools speaking languages that we never heard of. So how the hell are they getting taught?
We have people coming from corners of the globe, and many of them are not good people. Many terrorists, record levels of terrorism. Record levels of terrorists have come into our country. Record. They've never seen anything like it. You know, there was a report that in 2019, I don't believe this, by the way, the media gave it, and it was good for me, believe it or not. They said in 2019, there were no terrorists recorded that came into our country. I don't believe that. I don't think that's possible. But 2019 was a Trump year.
There might have been some terrorists.
But they said no terrorists came into our country. So let's say it was close. Let's say it was close. But now record levels of terrorists record levels, the highest level we've ever seen of terrorists are pouring into our country.
The highest.
China, with just in the last few months, 29,000 people came in, and I looked at them on a line. And
Did he just say 29,000?
a recruiting exercise. They have beautiful tents. They have propane stoves. They have cell phones, the best you can buy. I said, what's going on? It looks like they're building an army right in our country. Now, I don't think that would happen, right? We're losing our country.
He's calling it.
And
He's
I
calling
really
it.
think that this is an event, what took place yesterday with this judge. Look, we have conflicted, but he's a crooked judge, and you'll understand that. And I say that knowing that it's very dangerous for me to say that, and I don't mind because I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to save our country and to save our Constitution. I don't
Gangster.
mind. So,
Good morning, Thomas G. Colley. Good morning,
so
Ada Ortiz Santiago.
thank you.
You're welcome, Donald.
So we will continue the fight. We're going to make America great again. Very simple. When people fight MAGA, they say, we're going to fight. I watch Biden. We're going to fight MAGA. We're going to stop MAGA. It's make America great again. That's all it is. MAGA. Make America great again. Our country's in serious trouble. We owe $36 trillion. We were energy independent for the first time ever. And now we're begging Venezuela for oil. One statistic you have to hear. Venezuela was crime ridden. Caracas, the cities, crime ridden. 2 years ago, 3 years ago. They just reported a 72% drop in crime in the last year.
Y'all remember when gas was like around $1.84 in some areas? I know mine was $1.84. I think in some areas it might have got up to $2, maybe. Good Lord.
Their criminals and drug dealers have been taken out of the cities and brought into the United States. And that's true with many other countries. The Congo has just released a lot of people from jail. Congo, Africa, just released a lot of people from their prisons and jails and brought them into the United States of America. This is what's happening to our country. And it's not sustainable by little things like
People Patriots, we want to welcome Jen Woodruff, the homeschooling mom. How you doing, Jen?
Hi, good to see you, Ray Ray.
Good to see you. I'm glad you can tune in. As you can see, we're following Donald Trump live as we are
Awesome.
covering the verdict aftermath. And then we'll get into our regularly scheduled broadcasting system. But without further ado, back to El Presidente.
luxury hotels in cities all over our country run by Democrats. So it's my honor to be doing this. It's a very unpleasant thing, to be honest, but it's a great, great honor. We're gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna do it, and the support has been. That's why I mentioned the number of $39 million. That's why I mentioned we're up 6
Good
points.
morning.
We went up a lot over the last month because everybody saw it was a rigged deal. It was a rigged trial. But we're
Yes,
going
it
to make America
was.
great again. We're going to make it better than ever before. November 5th. Remember, November 5th is the most important day in the history of our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
And there we had the 45th and the 47th president of these United States of America,
I love it.
who just had to chime in after everything. What we got here, Thomas G. Gill Colley, Thomas G. Colley, good morning. The time came and America is going to be regulated by rules and regulations under the constitutional mandate of history. We therefore exercise the maximum process of patience as we fight for the regulations of our country, regeneration, and make sure to push all of illegal immigrants out of the border. We want strong regulations, of America, and we are going to make it greater than ever before. Our structures of integrity and values need to be audited by our Constitution, whether Democrats want or, and the book goes on. But like I was saying, good afternoon, Jen. How's everything going?
Good. Just another day in paradise.
Just
Battling the
another
same
day.
battling the same fires we always put out all the time. All of us. We're moms. It's our job.
That's right. That's right. Well, I can't
Oh God,
get
stop that
into it
now.
right until I. Where's my theme music? There we go.
Welcome to the Patriots Lab, where we ain't even trying to make them liberals mad. Cause freedom of speech is what us individuals have. It's the gift when we gab, talking about things that the brainwashed cannot mentally grasp, like staying loud and waving our American flags. This is for the free thinkers, wearing their MAGA and wearing the cags. Draining the swamp is the ultimate goal, but the sheeple will swear it's a fad, like it's just a phrase. But when we show them the facts, the fools got nothing to say, and deep government state wanna get up in our face, but hasn't done it yet cause Trump's in the way, trying to protect us from a troublesome fate. And because of that, we'll never lose our faith, plus God keeping us cool and safe. But I still hope we get 4 more years so we could throw a huge parade. I can see it now, Patriots on a float, and POTUS will go down in history as one of the GOATs for making the swamp pay for taking every one of his votes. His enemies are the cancer, whether or not Trump give him the smoke. Now relax it back and take notes as we kick facts with the homie Ray though. Speak your mind in the Patriots Lab. It's freedom time in the Patriots Lab, where we ain't even trying to, we make them liberals mad. I said speak your mind in the Patriots Lab. It's freedom time in the Patriots Lab, where we not even trying to, we make them liberals mad. I said, speak your mind in the Patriots Lab. It's freedom time in the Patriots Lab, where we not even trying to, we make them liberals mad. Speak your mind. It's freedom time. Without even trying to, we make them liberals mad.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. For some reason, we just make them liberals matter and matter and matter, and Trump is just pissing them off. So, Jen,
Wow.
we've come all these years. We've talked about it on different shows, day after day, where we thought this was all heading, and what the final outcome would eventually be. Where do you see us at now? Where have we gotten to?
This is going to sound like pie in the sky, but I'm serious. We are resilient. America will triumph and we will undo this wrong and we're going to right our ship. We are not going down in history as another failed nation. This is so ridiculous how they're going about this. And I just wanted to go back to this is ridiculous too, but hey, it works. 1839, there was this author. His name is Edward Bulwer Lytton, Lyton, and he is the one who said this phrase that we all know, but we're going to prove it. It's that the pen is mightier than the sword. And I'm not saying we're getting into a civil war. If it happens, it happens, but we need some smart people in this game who are going to be able to help us right this ship by rewriting the election laws. This is ridiculous. They don't know how to count because I'm telling you, I counted 181,000. I don't know where they got their numbers from, but it was wrong and they're doing it again.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. One of the people that I listen to the best, well, not the best, but that I listen to the most is Judge Janine Pirro, and she
People,
has a
yeah.
great take on everything. I'm just gonna let her speak, and then we'll
I
follow.
know that this is riddled with reversible error. I know that there was no basis to charge this crime, this alleged crime, and to resurrect dead misdemeanors based upon non-unanimous federal violations of the election law or of the tax law. So, I mean, you've got that, but there's also a gut punch to the criminal justice system in the United States. people realize we are no longer safe anymore. And it's because of the progressive left agenda of making sure that we don't keep people in jail. And, they're out there with 33 arrests, but, they're still assaulting people or violently attacking people down the street here. But now we've got one of the most famous individuals in the world, a former president of the United States, who can be taken down by a George Soros funded prosecutor on a crime that doesn't exist, where not one person put his finger anywhere near that bookkeeping. And now they're going to return a verdict and say, oh, he's guilty. He's definitely guilty. This is a jury pool made out of 85 to 90% of the people are anti-Trump, not pro anybody, anti-Trump. That's the jury pool. We knew it. We have a judge who wasn't picked out of the wheel or out of the drum, as all of us judges are. And he was a judge who was selected, not just for the Trump organization, not just for the this case, but also for the another case that involves the who was the guy who was the Bannon case as well. This is an anti-Trump judge, an anti-Trump prosecutor. America is going to respond to this. This is a gut punch. We want to see politicians fight. We don't want to see what they do in third world countries, to have one side start indicting and jailing the other side. This is not American. This is not who we are. And to see this happen before our eyes, when we know that this is not legitimate, when a defendant was not advised of the crimes that he was charged with. They don't even know what the crimes are until we get to the charge to the jury, as if the prosecution and the judge, with a wink and a nod, said, hey, I'll give you that old accomplice testimony, even though we didn't charge Donald Trump with aiding and abetting anyone else. I'll throw it in as a matter of law. He's an accomplice. And I'll throw in those federal election violations. So they'll have to say, yeah, Donald Trump must have done it too. And I'll throw in a hooker and a guy who's a serial perjurer. This is lunacy. And I think that any red-blooded American who sees this is going to understand this isn't what we do to our political enemies. This is what they do in kangaroo courts and third world countries. God help America after what I've seen in the last few weeks. Hey.
So, sometimes I'm not always the best person to bring the message. So I tend to rely on people who are more qualified, more experienced, and educated, and I stay in my lane. What we are witnessing, Jen, is a travesty. It is beyond comprehension that our government would go to these lengths of taking out their political opponents in order to secure a victory in a political election. Like she said, this is stuff that we're only supposed to see in third world countries. What do you think about it coming here to America?
It was a stupid move, and we're going to prove that they were wrong. And I hope they realize it. It's like shocking because we're free people. I always thought it was so hard to take a free person from being free and put them in captivity. But it's the boiled frog syndrome. Little by little by little till you're boiled to death. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I think we have to get to the root of the problem, which is a stupid phrase by one of Kamala's salads, where we got to get to the root of it. Well, we do. And you know what the root of the problem is? The voting system. They rigged it a long time ago, and we've just been like, oh, it wasn't as good as we thought, but it was okay. And that's not what we wanted, but we will live with it. And now this happens, and we're like, crap, it's obvious. We have to fix this.
And the only way I see us fixing this is really voting these people out of office. But what they are doing is so blatant. It's shameful. Other countries are looking at us now with disbelief. But it's gonna backfire. It's gonna backfire. Don't take it from me. Take it from a Democrat. Take it from one of their own. Take it from one of their own, and that they've ostracized.
What do you think happened down there in Lower Manhattan today?
I think, Jesse, that it is going to backfire. This conviction is going to backfire on the Democrats. I think every time that President Trump has been indicted, that his approval ratings actually increase, his popularity increases. I think there's a large number of Americans who are going to see this as the politicization of and the weaponization of the enforcement agencies. And I think it's going to hurt. It's bad for our democracy. I think the Democrats feel like they have the DNC feels like it has a candidate that cannot win fair and square in the polls. And so they have to win in the courts. They have to win by clearing the deck and getting their other opponents out of the race. I'm not a fan of President Trump's, but I want to win. I want to beat him in a campaign on a level playing field. I want to talk about his issues, about locking down the economy, shutting down 3.3 million businesses, about running up a $34 trillion debt, about engaging us in forever wars and doing favors for Wall Street. I don't want to beat him in a courtroom. I think it's not good for our country. And I think it's really going to backfire on the Democrats.
Well, I think maybe you have a little bit more honor than the sitting president, that's for sure. Your uncle was the head of the DOJ and then eventually was ensnared in similar vicious, elite, and very dangerous circles, your father and your uncle. Do you see any similarities with what's going on now today?
Well, my father was the attorney general. His first week in office, he called up in 1961, he called in all the division heads in the Bureau.
Okay, we're not going to get into all what Mr. Kennedy has to say, but the gist of it is, you don't just have to be a Republican to see what is taking place right now. You can be a competitor. You can be somebody that wants to obtain a level of presidency and still want to do it in a way that is of America. And, because Kennedy had an opportunity to get a taste of just how wicked his party can be. I mean, they basically silenced him. They wouldn't let him debate. I mean, if that isn't proof enough, Jen, on top of everything else that they have displayed to us, that they won't allow a member of their own party to have the opportunity to debate an opponent. What does that say? And now they're talking about for the DNC convention doing Joe Biden by virtual conference so nobody can stand up and oppose him. What's going on? Have you heard about that yet?
I did hear about that, and I think it's ridiculous. My gosh, it's so obvious. It's sickening. And I just want to say that America has done this before. It was in 1776. We beat the cabal then, and if we have to, and then they came back in 1812, but we beat them again, and now they're doing the same thing again, but with technology. And I hate that. It's disgusting. That's why we need to really stand up and learn what we're supposed to learn to right this ship. This is ridiculous. I can't stand it. Did you hear that? Well, first of all, RFK Jr. is of his father. I say RFK Jr. and people think I'm talking about JFK. No, I'm not. That guy you just posted, RFK, he was not protected ever with Secret Service. There's never been a presidential candidate who is not protected by Secret Service. They're not president yet. They're just candidates, but they're supposed to be protected, and he's not. And I'm like, what? Why is Joe so scared of everybody except, it's crazy. We thought it was just Trump, but no, it's not him. It's his whole, what is it? The whole system behind him, all the way back to Soros. They are really concerned about anyone going against Joe, who's not even the best candidate ever for anything. It's ridiculous. And I wanted to say one more thing about the Secret Service protection. Donald Trump is very protected, in case anyone's worried, because I am. But he hired the Scotland Yard. So he has his own Secret Service, plus he has his own Scotland Yard people. So thank God he is protected along with angels, because we're all praying for him, because he is the only sign of freedom that we know at this time. He is the beacon of freedom. No one else is.
You know, it really saddens me because Donald Trump has done so much
Right.
for New York City. He's done so much for America.
True.
With that being the case, and for them to really be this harsh, this brutal, this inhumane, but people see, and it's not just Republicans. Like I said, it's not just Republicans. Let's go ahead and get another view from one of their own.
Rod Blagojevich joins me now. So you were pardoned by Donald Trump. You were also involved with some shenanigans that cost you your freedom. Looking back now, how do you see this case?
Well, I see this as deja vu all over again. I didn't break a single law, cross the line, or take a penny. They failed to convict me at a first trial, tried me a second time, used unlawful jury instructions to criminalize things that were legal. And they learned from that, and now they're doing it at the major league level, what they did to a Democrat governor at the AAA level, and doing it to the leading candidate of the opposition party, being done by the party in power, my party, the Democrat Party. And, it's a very sad day for America on many levels. On a personal level, I'm grateful to President Trump for commuting my sentence. And my heart sinks when I think about what he has to go through, what his family has to go through. But my heart is broken for our country, because this is serious business. And these Democrats, my fellow Democrats who run the show now, are coordinating these prosecutions against Trump from the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C., with assistance from the White House and Biden. It's so obvious to me because I've lived it myself. In my case, these were Bush-appointed Republicans who did it to me. And now the Democrats are doing it to Trump. But what they're doing is they're destroying the rule of law, our Constitution, which will eventually lead to the loss of our freedom. And nothing is sacred with these people. Nothing is sacred. It's politics at all costs, and forget about the law, and forget about injustice, and forget about destroying somebody through prosecution, persecution, and the politics of personal destruction. It has now replaced the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And the stakes are high. And I'm urging my fellow Democrats to fight for our country. Vote for Trump, DonaldJTrump.com, so we save our democracy. Because if Trump doesn't win, we're going to become Russia.
That's good.
I mean, and that is basically it being said in a nutshell. And it's not coming from Republicans. It's coming from the same people from the Democratic Party that have witnessed, that have had firsthand experience what their party is capable of. These are what you call whistleblowers at the highest level. But what do you say after hearing person after person, scholar after scholar, legal expert after legal expert tell you What they did to Donald Trump in this New York courtroom was a travesty, was a trampling of the Constitution, was a precedent that has never been set for anyone else, was something that was based on 99.9% non-actual and factual stuff. What do you say to the people that are out there cheering for illegal persecution of someone that they just don't like?
Wow. It's so frustrating because they don't understand. And it's not that, I mean, yeah, they're rooting for their team and they're like, yay, the Democrats are back in power. But I don't think they understand. It's not that they're power hungry, they just want to be in charge. They want your money. That's why they're there. They want to make you serfs. They're the overlords. They want to make you pay them. They want to own you. They want to control the future. They want to own your children. They want your money and your children's money. They want your homes. They want everything. They are very greedy. It's not just power hungry. They want your money. That's what it all goes back to. Follow the money. And I don't think people understand that. They just think it's a name. There's Democrats and Republicans. There's the working donkeys and then there's the bossy elephants. No, it's not like that. It's ridiculous. It's all about money. Everything is. That's all they want. So the only ones that raise the taxes, this is the craziest time in history. We've never had regulations like this ever. And Trump wanted to alleviate all that. And they're like fighting for the Democratic way. Why? He's not a Democrat. He's trying to save you money, but they don't understand that. It's frustrating.
Well, we're going to hear real quick from a great lady from the great state of Texas, because
Awesome.
we want to know across the spectrum how people feel about it, because something just ain't right here. So, Marcia, how you feel about the situation? How do you really feel about the situation?
What we have seen play out in a New York courtroom today is a complete miscarriage of justice. It is the weaponization of our judicial system. And the American people are standing up against this. We all should stand with and back President Donald Trump for President of the United States. Be sure you're voting November 5th. If you're sick of seeing this weaponization, if they've done it to him, they can do it to you.
So, you see what Marcia has to say. And she is, I'm getting wild messages left and right. But she's spot on. I mean,
Right.
I'm really at a loss for words, Jen, when it comes to this situation. I get to the point where I don't want to do shows because I'm laying there in my bed and I keep thinking I can flip the station because it's a movie and I'll be able to watch something else. When I continue to listen to Donald Trump stand up there day after day and talk about what they doing to him, in some situations I want to be like, dude, stop crying, stop complaining, because it sounds like a whining, nagging baby. But when you get past the whining and the nagging and you get to the substance of what he's whining and nagging about,
It's right. That's
and
amazing.
people want him to turn a blind eye. People want him to turn the other cheek. People want to walk around and act like this happens to everyday, average, ordinary politicians. oh, this is just part of the game. Hell no, this ain't part of the game. I understand there's a competitive spirit when it comes to politicking, but this is way beyond politics.
Right.
It's way beyond politics. Um, this transcends way past Donald Trump. If they can eliminate Donald Trump, who's next? There's not another politician out there who's stronger than Donald Trump. That man, there's so many that would have been knocked out a long time ago.
Right.
A long time ago.
Right. I wanted to talk about your baby analogy when you said the baby's crying.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how we all feel right now. And I know what you mean. That's what we're seeing on TV. And we're just, he's crying and crying and crying. But I wanted to bring up the baby thing. He's either crying for three reasons, one of three reasons. He's tired, hungry, or poopy. And so it's easy to fix. Right now, he's poopy. We have to change that. And the change we need is to right the ship by finding out who we can get to reset this election system. I think that's the biggest thing because they can't count. I'm sorry. I'm like, what? You can't count? There's no way with Trump's rallies. He's not even having a rally at the bodega. He wasn't even having a rally it wasn't planned. It wasn't even, it was awesome in the Bronx. That was amazing. He was on a gag order, but he wasn't like permitted. He wasn't, what is it, grounded? It's so stupid. He's a grown man and they're not allowing him to talk. Well, he's not allowed to talk about the judge's corruption and the fact that his daughter is raising millions every day against Trump. Don't look at that. But he can go out to, the Bronx and rally the people. He didn't even have to. He just walked out there and they knew if they can do this to him, they're going to do this to us. And they just loved him and they started chanting, "We love Trump. We love Trump," because he is the firewall. He is he has so many hats. He's not just the firewall between us and the cabal. He's also the wrecking ball that we talked about last night on the show, and I love that. You were giving an example of someone who's going to rob a bank, and he's telling all these people, well, his cell phone's on. He's telling everybody, we know what you're doing. You're planning our destruction. And now the ball's in our court, and we have to say, no, stop. We're the resistance.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to keep the video montage going. We're almost down to the last couple of few, but we're going to hear from Senator Ted Cruz. We're going to see what Senator Ted Cruz had to say about the whole situation. Another character that I tend to favor every now and again.
More is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Well, Alan Dershowitz says you're one of his favorite law students of all time and one of his best and brightest. Your take on all the things we've been discussing.
Well, listen, Sean, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is the exchange you were just having with Jonathan Turley is exactly right. We now know to a virtual certainty that no conviction will be upheld on appeal, that the judge today committed, I think, clear reversible error. These jury instructions were nonsense. Now, here's the bad news. The bad news is this has been a kangaroo court from the beginning. This is a wildly partisan prosecutor who hates Donald Trump, who came with a political objective of going after Donald Trump. And we now know from these jury instructions that this judge is every bit the partisan that the prosecutor is. And he knows this is reversible error. As you noted, Ramos versus Louisiana clearly held in 2020 that every element of the crime must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, must be unanimous by the jury. And yet this judge says it doesn't matter, not in New York. The Constitution does not apply in New York, which means if we get a conviction, it will be reversed on appeal. But the judge doesn't care.
Okay. So that takes us into our next segment. If this is going to be turned on appeal, which is definitely going to happen, why go through the process? a couple of things. This is basically what they want. What do they call it? Bulletin board material, should I say? So from now on, here on out, you're going to hear Donald Trump, the convicted felon. Even if it's overturned on appeal, you'll still hear Donald Trump, the convicted felon. The one thing, Jen, that I'm glad for is that they did make it so obvious. If they would have concealed it a lot better, more people would really be confused. But they made it so blatant and so obvious what they were doing that it disgusted a lot of people. It disgusted a lot of people, especially a lot of independent people, because I mean, it is what it is. Your hardcore Democrats, well, no, not hardcore Democrats. What do we call them? The different people. I think I told you that I renamed them. The different people. That's what they are. Those different people, they're going to remain different. No need trying to analyze them no more.
Leave
We
it
just
alone.
have to keep moving on and keep moving on.
Right.
Those are the people that will be riding down the road, get a flat tire, pull over, change the tire just to put the flat tire in the trunk on the car. So you mean to tell me you took a flat tire off to put a flat tire on? Those are the type of people those are right there.
Okay. 2 points for cleaning
you
up.
just don't want to figure out. Now, Jen, if you went into the trunk and you seen the spare was flat, would you just leave the other flat on there, wouldn't you? What's the purpose?
Oh my God. That's a really good analogy. That's funny.
That's how these people think.
Man.
If you try to understand why they do what they do, it'll just drive you batty.
Right.
Because I know you sitting there thinking like, yeah, why the hell would you take a flat off just to put a flat on? I don't know. But hey, to each his own. Good morning, Patriot Ray D. YouTube is in the building this morning. Good morning, Jerome. I don't even want to butcher that name. Jerome D. We'll just keep it like that. Good morning, Suzanne Arcadio, Cindy Shaddix, and my brother Rob Young. How are you, Rob? I hope everything is good with you, my brother. Hope everything is good. But Jen, I'm just it's something else. It's something else. But like you said, the people that are out there cheering, yeah, Trump the criminal, Trump this, Trump that, they don't care that they're getting money took. They see money getting taken out their stuff. It's not like they are got repellent on. They get the same treatment. They're receiving the same treatment that all the other Americans are getting, and they seem to enjoy it. They seem to like it, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but maybe Mr. Turley, who is a very distinguished person, if I can put him up on the screen here, let me see what Mr. Turley has to say about the situation. Go ahead, Jonathan. Take it away, my brother.
No, a lot of what Todd said resonates, particularly with some of us who watched the trial from in the courtrooms. The fact is that this might have been an impossible task given the instructions that the court ultimately issued. I mean, there was an effective shortening of the football field for the prosecution that may have made this inevitable. I wrote a column yesterday in The Hill that said that it had the feel of a canned hunt where people are allowed to shoot game in a cage or a small space because the judge created that small space. I disagree with the judge. To this moment, I don't know what the president was convicted of, in the sense that the jury verdict form just says they were unanimous that some secondary crime was the basis of these falsified document violations. So the judge said, you can just pick anything on the menu. You know, there are 3 crimes here: a federal election violation, falsification of documents, a tax violation. Go with any or all of them. So we don't even know if they were unanimous on what actually happened. And in some ways, the form created by the court may ultimately help Donald Trump. There is a unanimity requirement, and it's not clear that the courts will accept this as unanimity, because you could have had a 4-4-4 jury. You could have a jury that had vastly different ideas of what this uncharged conspiracy was all about. But there are layers of reversible error here. And I don't want to add to the anger. There's anger here, and there's unhinged celebration. I think that people can look at this verdict and disagree with it or support it without hating each other. We have a system that's designed to deal with these types of cases. I think this case was not based on the law. I think it was a political prosecution. I think it had layers of reversible error. Many will disagree with me. We have a system designed for that. It's a good system, and it goes beyond Manhattan.
It does.
And this could well go all the way to Washington.
Okay. So with that being said right there, but before we get ready to land this baby, we have people that are gloating. We got people out there that are just having a good time about everything that has went on. And I wouldn't do justice to the Patriots lab if I didn't go ahead and give them their
No.
spotlight.
12
Oh, God, help us.
jurors vowed to make a decision based on the evidence and the law, and the evidence and the law alone. Their deliberations led them to a unanimous conclusion beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Donald J. Trump, is guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree to conceal a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. And while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor. I did my job. Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear.
Oh, I can't listen no more. I can't listen no more. I tell you what. Big boy, you sound just like Boss James when she came out and gave her victory speech. You know, y'all look like robots. Y'all really do, big boy. Big boy brag. You and Boss James. I did my job. I went where the fact. You sound like her, just a little shorter, a little plumper, and bro, I give you credit. Because you know what? There was one piece of truth you said out of all that shit right there. You did your job. You did your job. See, that's something about a brother. A brother gonna let the boss man know I did my job, man. That wasn't for us. That was for Joe. Hey, I did my shit. Can I go now? I did my job. I went where the facts would lead me. If you went where the facts would lead you, guess what, bro? Guess what, big boy? You still be looking. Because like Jonathan Turley said, and he's a legal expert, just
Right.
one of many that have come up with the same conclusion. What the hell was Donald Trump charged with? They charged him with a bag of Skittles and told the jury to dip their hand in the bag and pull the color out.
Oh wow.
Judge was like, man, y'all just take these 34 charges and bring me back something, please. Now, as a black man, never in the history of niggerism have I ever seen a judge say, I'm going to give y'all some shit to choose from, and y'all just bring me back some shit, okay?
That was so crooked.
That's what he did. But you know what? He who laughs last laughs the best. So all you wicked ass Democrats out there with your pom-poms, I want y'all to have that same damn energy. Because I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to look at you extra little bit longer. I'm just going to look at you extra little bit longer. And watch you just have a damn nervous breakdown. Have you fun? Laugh it up. You got what you want. Yay, Trump is a convicted felon.
Enjoy your $7 gallon of milk. No kidding. He could change this whole mess, but they don't see it.
I can't, I can't even think about. Okay, let me. Thomas G, what you got? Lots of sense lasting in our process of democracy. Our brains are divided by our own thinking in midst of forgetting the 40 years of sense in the Constitution of the United States. How many cases this young man had ever won in the Hague? He actually needs to be in jail. Okay, I'm lost there. That's my man from Nigeria. I think though. So he actually types like he speaks. So
I love it. You don't know Swahili. Come on, Ray Ray.
It is what it is. But wow. He's a fighter, Jen.
That's awesome.
He's a fighter. He gave up a lavish lifestyle. He didn't ask for this. I mean, he asked to be president, but he didn't ask to be done in this manner. It's I got to come up with a new word. I ain't got no dictionary handy. It's this is some apocalyptic type shit. This is something that, man, when the history books, I don't even know who's going to be able to even write this story. Because there is going to come a day when everybody looks back and is like, damn. Because they know the day. They know the day. That's why I don't understand. But see, I keep training my brain, Ray. They different. Don't try to analyze the different people. Those are the people that'll put a flat spare on a regular flat tire. Those are the same people.
Wow, good point. If they look back on history and read the story, they're going to say to us, did you not know how many more of you there were than them? And
Why didn't y'all do anything?
We're going to say it doesn't matter. They've got the power of the pen. They got the power of the law. And they'll say, Why didn't you take it back? What about the future? What about your kids? And we're going to look back and say, oh, we were so stupid. Well, we're never going to get there if we fix it now.
Well,
So let's
Jen,
look at what's, yes.
that's one of the things that scares me, dear. A lot of these people out here cheering for this shit, they're raising the future generation. So we're going to have a conflict of future idiots. Well, hopefully some of them outgrow it. But
You're
what I mean, they're being raised by idiots. When I see these people in the street and I know they got grandchildren, I'm just like, oh God, I hope the parents are doing a better job.
They reproduce. That's funny.
I mean, it would make it easier if they had something. I mean, give me something that I can, something that's tangible, something that I can feel, something that I can say, yeah, Donald Trump really did this. He's a bad person. But the only thing they do is pump fear and lies. And Donald Trump is going to be the threat to democracy. Well, if you look and see who is doing all the illegal bullshit, who's taking down everybody's First Amendment, who's trying to imprison the president, who damn put a gag order for president, who's doing the illegal shit, who is the threat to democracy? Donald Trump hasn't done one skiddly do of anything to make people think he's going to be a threat to democracy. Where on the other hand, every day this administration opens their eyes, they're trying to come up with new ways to destroy the Constitution, to lock up their political opponents, to shut up the citizens that don't agree with them. Who's really running a dictatorship party here? They're projecting everything onto Donald Trump that they're doing like they have been doing. I've always told people, these people are too dumb to come up with an original idea. They can translate their acts into words, though. That's easy to do. We'll just fucking say what we're doing. That's easy. We ain't got to think of nothing. Only thing you got to do is sit back. Everything they accuse Donald Trump of doing, they have done.
Right.
That's why I don't have time no more to analyze the other people.
Good.
If they don't want to, I just feel sorry for them. And not only sorry for them, Jen, I feel sorry for the people that they unfortunately are leading in life.
Right.
Those are the kids that go into the candy store and stuff candy in their pocket when they think nobody's looking.
Right.
And then they get ready to try to walk out the door and the damn cashier snatches their ass up and calls the police on them. And then you got a little convict running around at the age of 11.
Man.
Am I supposed to think any different? You're cheering for a man that's being falsely accused and locked up and convicted and could possibly go to jail for the rest of his life. Why should I think you're a person with morals?
Right.
That give a damn about anything or anybody?
It's so frustrating. I always love to look at these three things: past, present, and future. The past, what are they doing? They're rewriting it. So they don't know anything that really happened. What are they doing to the present? The present, they're killing our only hope, which is Donald Trump. At this time, I don't see any other people running. That there's nobody running or was running that was stronger than him. He was like the best. I mean, it was awesome. He had the voice of the people. No one else talked about America first. What the heck? That was awesome. And they're cheering that he got convicted on something no one can really nail down. I mean, the jurors were even asking the judge, could you please give us that in writing? What are we actually deliberating over? We don't really understand the charge. I mean, how many times did they do that? Finally, he got it down to one thing, which I don't even know what it is, but they're all like, yes. If it doesn't look like they got paid off, I don't know what it looks like because that was insane. None of us watching TV could understand what he was being charged with. What, 136 times? Or just 36 times. The first time was 100 and he was acquitted or charged. I don't know. But to finally get charged with something, we won't know for real until what, July 11th? I think that's
Yeah.
his day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sick. It's absolutely sick. That's why we need someone in there with a good pen and good legal background who can rewrite the election laws. This is sick. Even the highest court in the land sometimes is against
You know,
us.
you know what I
It's
noticed
frustrating.
though? I noticed also when you listen to people that are against Joe Biden, they say we're against Joe Biden because of the border, because of inflation, because of the economy, because of this, because of that. But if you go to the other side and they say, well, why do you hate Trump? Oh, he did what they said he did, and he just a bad person, and he guilty. And I'm like, what the hell is that? What kind of answer is that? Oh, he did what they say he did. He's guilty. He's a bad person. I'm like, he racist.
He's orange. Oh my god. I know. I know. The orange man.
What about
It's
Joe Biden? I don't want my kids in the racial jungle and all this shit. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. What? That's why I sit back today and I say, you gotta stop trying to analyze those people, Ray. Those people right there, the same people that are going to the trunk of the car, take out a spare flat and put it on a regular flat. You just can't think about those people.
true.
But we've been talking about all of this for about an hour and 22 minutes. I guess it's better left said by no one other but then the great one himself.
Awesome.
And then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
So it's just better said by the man himself. I appreciate everything he's doing for this country. Like I stated earlier, He didn't have to do it, but he did. And I will remain forever grateful. I will remain forever loyal, not just to him, but to this country that I so dearly love. If you are out there, if you are listening, we're at the point where you're either going to be fully on board for victory or you're going to be fully on board for defeat. If you're fully on board for victory, stop your whining, stop your complaining, stop your, it's just not going to happen. Because that's not the mentality of a victor. If you believe we're going to win this war of ideologies here in this country that we're going through, you must pick a side. I hear too many people say, yeah, I'm a patriot. And then they are at the brink of defeat. They can't reach down and pull up optimism. Without optimism, there is no victory. You have to believe that you are going to be victorious. You have to stay encouraged. Because guess what? You have to encourage others. You have to stay motivated. Because you have to motivate others. You have to stay loyal. Because you have to keep others loyal. Don't be the weakest link in the chain. Because eventually, that chain will break. And if you're on the other side, I'm done trying to figure you out. Jen, go ahead and land this plane.
That was beautiful. I just wanted to thank everyone for watching this, and please continue to be the resistance. We're not going to crumble under this judge's verdict. Trump won. He's going to win. This is ridiculous. Whatever they can do to him, they can do to you. So this was a real visual of what we're dealing with. Be the resistance. And number two, hang on to your Constitution, especially the Second Amendment, because that is what upholds all the other amendments. If they can take our protection from us, they can do whatever they want. What they really want is the future, which is our children. So I'm like wholeheartedly against that. I mean, you educate them, you find them the best education, you get them the best books, you tell them how important they are because they're nothing but potential. Awesome people. Our children are wonderful. And I can't stand the way this administration is treating them or using them. It's disgusting. They're using us. And protect your future. I just want to say, hold your ground, stick to your guns. That sounds crazy, but you know what I mean. And you got this. We're Americans. We've done this before. We made the world a better place in 1776, and here we go again.
Greatly said. Greatly said. Hey, so from Jen, the homeschooling mom, and me, Ray, here at the Patriots Lab, thank you for tuning in to another great episode of Morning Coffee that went very, very well. And if you're not busy tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, join the Patriots Lab Uncensored as we bring some more verdict aftermath. Peace. Thanks, Jen. We
Thank
are
you.
out.
Bye.